partially sponsored by Mini Motors USA. If you click the link in the description, I get a small kickback from your purchase. Thanks. What is happening, fellow pioneers of human transportation? I'm Yogi Steve. This is ESA, the Electric Scooter Academy. I make videos about high-powered scooters. So I'm going to answer probably the most common question I get: what type of scooter should you buy? Sort of going to be a free-form thought process. I actually ordered food. We're at Zankou. See? One of my favorite chicken places, so they just called my name. Let's go get it. The fucking stupid COVID regulations. The employees got to walk all the way around the corner to give me water. Like, they don't have a fucking sink back there. You know, a lot of people tell me my vlog would be better if I kind of focused on the food a little more, you know, my delivery vlog. But it's kind of a pain in the ass while I'm working. But this is what Zankou looks like. You see what I got here? I got double cucumber salad, rice, and shawarma. Let me get a couple bites of this in, and then we'll start talking about what type of scooter you should buy. I think the first thing I want to say is it's important that you know that I do have something of a sponsorship and affiliation with Mini Motors USA. I'm always telling you to click the link in the description. I make a very, very small amount of money from that. More importantly, they give me a very good discount on parts. And if I need to buy another scooter in the future, they also will give me like a very special deal on the scooter. But it's really nothing that I make a lot of money from, but it does make me somewhat biased. And more, I don't really want this channel to be telling you what scooter to buy specifically so much. It's more about teaching you how to think about electric scooters, how to learn from my mistakes, and how to learn from the experience that I have, you know, maintaining scooters for over 20,000 miles of road use, probably in the past 3 years. Wow, the sun is really coming out. So this information is somewhat biased. I'm not a professional. There's no such thing as a professional electric scooter buying advisor. There's no regulations in this business. I could say anything I want, but I'm going to speak as truthfully as I can, and we'll go from there. So when you're listening to this information, I'm basically talking to you like I would talk to my own brother. I mean, I have an actual biological brother that's 5 years younger than me. He's 45 years old. He weighs 205 pounds. He's a muscular dude. He's very athletic, almost a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, black belt in Taekwondo. An athletic guy like me, for his age especially, but also like more buff. He's like a little shorter than me and all muscle, 205. So when I'm trying to help somebody figure out what type of scooter to get, the first thing I ask them is, how much do you weigh? I think of the 100 kilograms, 220 pounds to be sort of the cutoff point where if you're below 220, you have a larger variety of scooters you could ride that will last you a long time. And as you get above 100 kilograms, 220 pounds, you need to start looking at heavier duty scooters. It doesn't mean if you're 230 pounds you can't ride a 9-Bot Max. They're all rated for more weight. It's just that I don't think those scooters are going to last you that long if you're putting all that weight and pressure on it. So first thing I'll ask you is, how much do you weigh? I'll ask the person about the terrain, what type of surfaces, inclines, declines, rocky roads, good roads, and I'll ask you how you're going to use a scooter on a daily basis. So my brother, 45 years old, highly athletic. He lives in New Jersey, no hills. He's probably going to be almost completely on the streets or the sidewalks. Everything will be flat and smooth. Everything is pretty well maintained there in the suburbs. So my recommendation for him would be to buy a Dualtron Eagle Pro. He's a lawyer. He's a successful guy. He could afford more than the $2,200 or $2,300 that the Eagle Pro costs. But I believe if you're brand new to scooters, you should go from the rental scooters. And if you can't do the rental scooters, your first scooter should really be a Dualtron Eagle Pro. Now there's 10 different variations on this scooter, 10 different varieties that are similar to it and probably cheaper, up to $500. And there are reasons for buying those and reasons not for buying those. But just everything being equal, 205-pound person who is somewhat athletic, driving on flat road, using it for normal use, let's say a few hundred miles a month, I think a Dualtron Eagle Pro is a great beginner scooter for anybody, even if you can afford more. I don't recommend you buy the biggest, fastest scooter on the market as your first electric scooter. I think as a beginner scooter owner, the last thing you should be worried about is top speed and massive acceleration. If you want to race electric scooters, that means you almost already own a scooter and have driven it recreationally and decided you want to be an electric scooter racer, or top speed is the most important thing to you. If I had to guess, I would say 90% of people are buying the scooter for transportation and fun. 10% of people are buying it because they're speed junkies. Maybe I'm wrong, but in my mind, the top speed of a scooter and having incredible acceleration, above average acceleration, more acceleration than the Eagle Pro. It's just unnecessary for a new driver. And you should know that the resale value of scooters is very high right now. So if you buy something like the Eagle Pro at $2,300, you can easily resell it if you want to go to a bigger, faster scooter. So top speed, massive acceleration, it seems to be the first thing that uneducated electric scooter buyers look at, but I think it's almost the least important thing. Most of these dual motor scooters have a very high top speed and accelerate very quickly. So why should you listen to my advice about scooters? What's my experience? I'll tell you the things that I don't understand first. I really don't understand the electric portions of electric scooters. I don't know how to work with the battery. I don't know how to work with a motor. But I do know how to change my own brake pads. I know how to change my own tires. And I know how to do almost all the fundamental body work on electric scooters. So I have more than the average person's level of experience with scooters, but I'm not really an expert except for the fact that I probably have 18 or 20,000 miles driven on my scooters in the last 3 years. I have 12,000 miles documented on Strava and just many more miles that I couldn't really prove, but I've been making videos for 3 years now. So I put a lot of time on the road. So I kind of understand what you need to get out of a scooter and what the possibilities are of what can happen, because I own Dualtrons now, but I also owned a Irby Pro GT, a 9-bot Segway ES4. I also own 4 of my own electric scooters that I branded. I basically tried to copy the Speedway 4, and those of you guys that followed me for a while know at one point I had the Outlier scooter, which in my mind was identical to the Speedway 4. I just decided never to go into the business. I decided it was just not the right business for me. So I've had a lot of scooters. I've even had a couple of those little swag cycles. Don't buy those scooters, man. Those swag cycles were terrible. But regardless, this is not so much about specific brands. It's going to be about how to think about scooters. So my strengths are is I understand about maintenance. I understand about the true realities of owning a scooter for the long term. Remember, in 2020, I did 1,000 miles a month for 12 months straight. So again, I'm just trying to teach you how to think when it comes to making your decision as to what scooter to buy. So you look at the weight of the rider, you look at the terrain, and you look at how they're going to use it. Because you can get away with buying smaller, cheaper scooters, especially if you happen to be lighter. Almost the more athletic you are too, the lower end scooter you could get away with. I think an unathletic person who's in more danger on sort of a cheaper, lighter scooter than they would be on a heavier duty scooter that's more stable. For me, I've personally gotten used to heavy scooters. If I get on a rental scooter, they feel very wobbly. They feel very unsafe to me because they're so light. So let's say you're above 220 pounds, above 100 kilograms. All things being equal then, I'd recommend you get something from the higher end of the Dualtron line. I have Dualtron Ultras. I like them so much I have 2. You can buy a Dualtron Ultra for about $3,200 right now, the V2, not the number 2, but the V2, the version 2. You could buy a Dualtron Thunder for probably in the high 3,000s. As far as I'm concerned, that's still the best electric scooter in the world, the best commercially produced electric scooter in the world. Of course, there are brands that are better. You could take the best scooter in the world would probably be the Ryan, but it's a very, very fast scooter. It would make, in my mind, no sense to buy that as your first scooter. I think everybody that buys a Ryan has owned scooters before it. It's almost like when you start driving a car, nobody starts with a high-performance sports car, right? Some kids did. I had a V6 Camaro when I was a kid. Some kids, when they got their license in my neighborhood, had a Corvette. But it's like getting a Lamborghini or something like that if you want to get a Ryan, meaning that it's just the fastest vehicle you can get. There's a certain amount of danger to riding a vehicle like that in the early stages. And I just think that if you're a regular person, assuming regular income, you're not super rich, $2,300, that's a lot of money to spend. The newest Ryan is $8,500. If money was no object, I'm experienced. Believe me, I would buy one. So in addition to the weight of the rider, the terrain, and how you're generally going to use it, you want to think to yourself, are you mechanical? Are you going to work on this scooter yourself? If you are very mechanical, if you understand the electric portion of a scooter, the motor, the frame, the brakes, the tires, if you're somehow just very mechanical from other skills, you could buy almost any scooter because you can fix it by yourself. The biggest problem for me with the scooters was when they broke. So when I had my ES4, I was just in love with the scooter. I actually bought it as my second scooter after my Irby Pro GT just because it was a little faster. It was actually a little torquier with that second battery. But the thing broke at 500 miles and there was nobody to help me. I was searching on Craigslist. There's no dealer to go through. You know, these companies want to tell you that they will send you parts to fix it yourself. But especially at the time, 2.5, 3 years ago, not being mechanically inclined at all, never touching a socket wrench or an Allen wrench. Now my ES4 just sits in my freaking garage, sits in my scooter room, which, you know, is my living room. You've seen my place. Point being is the ES4 still doesn't work. All my outlier scooters broke at about 2,000 miles. Even my very expensive Irby Pro GT, the battery died, the company vanished. I couldn't get a replacement for it. So longevity and durability are almost more important to me than speed, acceleration, and all that shit. So that's why I always recommend, above anything else, if you're lucky enough to have an electric scooter dealer with good mechanics available to you, that would be the time when I'd say, look, you don't have to buy a Dualtron. You could buy a Cabo from Voro Motors. Do you have mechanics there? I'll talk more about other brands as well. I like the Cabo, Wolf, Warrior King, the regular Warrior a lot. So don't think I'm saying that those are not good scooters. But my point is if you're not going to work on it yourself, you need to prepare for it breaking down. It's like a car. Everybody brings their car to the mechanic. Almost nobody works on it themselves. And I think many of us, many people, are in the same position. You either don't have the time, the interest, the inclination to learn how to fix an electric scooter yourself, so you need to be able to bring it to somebody to work on it for you. So buying from a local dealer, it's like a dream for many people. Most areas don't have local dealers. I'm lucky enough that there's a Mini Motors in LA, there's a Mini Motors in San Rafael. That's where my affiliate is from, not too far from here. But California has quite a few authorized dealers. So try to buy from an authorized dealer close to you, so when something goes wrong, you can bring it in the next day, and if you're lucky, within a couple of days, you'll be back on the road. So my thoughts on cheaper scooters are fine, go ahead and buy it. I would never even use the phrase, you get what you pay for, when it comes to electric scooters. You could buy a $300 Xiaomi M365, right? And if you know how to fix it, that could be a fantastic scooter for you. But if you're heavier, if you're going up and down hills, if you have rough terrain, scooters under $2,000, under $1,000 especially, they're just gonna have problems quick. You wanna buy a scooter and ride it as long as you can before something goes wrong with it. The longest I've ever gone without having a problem on a scooter is my Dualtron Limited 2. I went 5,000 miles before the scooter suddenly turned off. But that scooter at 2,000 miles was hit by a car. And was totally thrown sideways. The wires on the outside of the motor were totally bent. I never had it looked at. But my mechanic Ryan told me that, yeah, that happened 3,000 miles ago. Those wires have finally degraded enough. That's why your motor turned off. But I went 5,000 miles, including being hit by a car, on a Dualtron 2 Limited. So again, when I say Dualtron, it's not because I make money from it. It's because it's what I believe in. It's because of what I've experienced myself firsthand. But those smaller, under $1,000 electric scooters, even including my favorite under $1,000 scooter, the Ninebot Max, they're gonna have problems, most likely under 500 or under 1,000 miles. I'm just almost convinced. Most people that buy those are not really high mileage riders, so they never experience that. But I ride so much, I figured it out right away. Cheaper scooters don't last. Or cheaper scooters will need attention sooner than more expensive scooters. They will need you to fix it or help from a mechanic to fix it. Now I'm walking home. It's actually been a really tough week for me because the elevator's broken in my building, and it's been broken for like a week. It's gonna be broken for a few more days. So I am capable of carrying my Ultra up and down the stairs, but it's not good for my back. I'm on the 4th floor. I really have a feeling I could hurt myself doing it. So I'm taking a break from work, and there's also some rain coming in, so that's why I'm trying to make more videos. I'm lucky the group ride went off yesterday. I don't want this to be too long because, you know, oh, look at this. Little Super 73 or something similar there, very cool. You know, it's like when I start to give people advice about scooters, everybody takes shit personally. And I'll admit, maybe a couple of years ago, as recently as a year ago, I would have something bad to say about other brands, but I'd like to teach people about the scooters the same way I was taught by my kettlebell instructor, basically. I never trained with Pavel Tsatsouline personally, but he talks a lot about you don't promote your method by making fun of other methods, you promote your method by saying how good it is. So I just want to talk about what I think is good in scooters, and not so much tell you what is bad. So what scooter do I actually really like outside of the Dualtron brand? That's a good question. Recently at the group rides, a couple of guys have been bringing out the Kabo Wolf Warrior King. I mean, it is a very good looking scooter. It seems like it's very durable. Obviously it's fast as fuck. I mean, honestly, there's a whole nother conversation of, do you need a 60 volt or a 72 volt scooter? I'm not really at the point where I'm recommending people buy the 72 volt Dualtrons. I think the 60 volt Proven Ultra and Thunder are fine. Some guys, I guess, I think, again, scooter buyers in the early stages make this mistake of putting too much emphasis on acceleration and top speed. And the manufacturers, listen, these 72 volt scooters These 72 volt scooters, I am sure, only came out because there was a demand for them. I'm sure these companies did some research, but Dualtron put the line out recently, and now other companies are copying the same idea of just basically making a bigger, faster scooter. What scooters outside of the Dualtron line do I like? Like I said, again, if I was a rich guy, a multi-millionaire, whatever, money was no object, I'm experienced. Hell yeah, I'd buy the fastest scooter around. I'd buy a Ryon. But other brands that are more reasonably priced between like $2,000 and $4,000, I love the Kabo Wolf Warrior, the Kabo Wolf Warrior King. I do like the 0, 10, and 11X line. I think those are pretty cool. I think the bigger Apollos are pretty cool, although I don't like electric scooters that have an adjustable stem. I think you should not buy a dual motor scooter that has an adjustable stem. I think that's a real weak point. That's why all the fast scooters do not have that. You have to get it customized if you want to raise or lower the handlebars. I like the Ninebot Max a lot. I mean, I really like it a lot. If I had to rent a scooter right now, that's the rental scooter I would look for if I didn't want to make this walk home. I like the Xiaomi M365. Why not? $300. Maybe you know how to work on it. Maybe you can read the discussion forums on Facebook and Reddit and learn how to fix it yourself. Maybe you don't have $2,000. Now, this brings up another point when it comes to money. I think electric scooters are somewhat egalitarian. I don't know if I'm using the word right, but what I mean is, outside of situations where you have a family and you can't afford to feed them, I think most people could save up. I think most people are capable of saving up a couple of $1,000. Again, I'm just a very middle class guy. I put too much money into scooters. But if you're like a regular person, maybe you make a middle class wage, I think almost any of you guys could save and put together a couple $1,000. So that's my main reason for sort of as much as you can avoiding the lower end scooters, just knowing that in the long run you will not be satisfied with them. I know some, but not very many, of people that have a Ninebot Max or a Xiaomi 365 that are lifetime owners of these scooters. Everybody's going to want to upgrade. So you could actually save yourself money by just saving a little more money and buying something more expensive. That's why when I look at a lot of these scooters that are priced at $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 right now, all they are is lesser versions of the Dualtron line. So again, I would just save up more money and buy a better scooter, but it is what it is. You could buy almost any type of scooter that you want, assuming that you can fix it yourself. If you can't fix it, you can't get it fixed, it doesn't matter what you buy. Stepping out of electric scooters, I love the Super 73, I love the Onyx, I love the Sur-Ron. One day I could change the name of the channel to the Electric Vehicle Academy if I buy myself an e-bike. I mean, honestly, I'm going to give myself my own advice, and if I buy an e-bike, I kind of want to buy an Onyx or a Sur-Ron. Just totally skip the Super 73, which looks like an amazing bike. But I'd want something that goes a little faster. Again, I'm an experienced user, so for me, top speed has more importance than it should if you're a brand new user. Hope you're not offended. And if you do want to get more advice on what type of scooter to buy, I would go to Ginger on Wheels. I really trust his opinion. He is an affiliate of many of these companies, makes us some money, not a lot. But you can tell he is a hobbyist that puts in a lot of miles, that loves electric scooters. He knows how to work on them himself. He's seen a lot of scooters. And I just believe is a really, really truthful guy. He doesn't review every scooter and say it's great. I like Adam at Wrong Way. Wrong Way. I think he's fucking cool as shit. Obviously, he loves vehicles. He's a little out of electric scooters right now, more into the unicycle stuff. But I would trust his opinion as well. I've talked to him a little bit on Facebook. Just a very cool guy, like a real hobbyist. I wouldn't really listen to much of the advice from the Electric Scooter Guide just because they love every scooter. There's no scooter that they don't like, and they push a very specific line of scooters. Like right now, if you look at Electric Scooter Guide, there's supposed to be some large unbiased platform of many different scooters, but it's always Voro Motors or Apollo. So obviously they have better affiliate deals with certain companies, and those are still good scooters. You could use Electric Scooter Guide the same way you would use me. Use it as a piece of information to help you make your decision. Don't use any one source of information to help you decide your final purchase. All right, we got to end this video. It's getting too long. And just another thing is, you should constantly be asking questions. Put questions in my comments. Talk to people that own scooters. That's another strength of mine. I've talked to so many people in real life about their scooter. So that's why I can't really say one scooter is terrible, because maybe a couple years ago I would say, oh, don't buy a Nan Robot, whatever, because they've had a decent amount of complaints online. But then I meet a couple guys with like a D6 and a D7, whatever they're called, and they're very happy with them, and they are fast as fuck, and they accelerate fine, and on the surface they look like any other scooter, and they're probably actually not that much different. You know, point being is, every scooter has its advantages depending on your situation. All things being equal, Mini Motors USA. Click the link in the description. Guys, I'm Yogi Steve. This is ESA, the Electric Scooter Academy. Videos about high-powered scooters. I appreciate you. If it's your first time checking out my videos, please subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you liked it, and leave a comment down below, and you know you'll see me soon. Thank you for your support.